We're going to make sweet zucchini bread today. And what I went ahead to do is I bought fresh zucchini from the market, and I used the coarse disc on my food processor. If you don't have a processor, you can use actually a grater, but grate it as large as you can so that it comes out in actually julienne slivers like this on your fresh zucchini. We're going to start the recipe by taking 2 large eggs into our bowl. And I'm going to slightly just mix them together. And now I'm going to add 2 cups of granulated sugar to my eggs. That again was 2 cups. And I'm going to mix that together with the eggs. Now you don't have to use a hand mixer. You can do this by hand. I find it easier to use my hand mixer. I'm going to use my mixer just on a very low speed till the eggs and the sugar come together that look very lemony and creamy. Then you know you've mixed it quite well. Next, I'm going to take 1 cup of vegetable oil, and I'm going to put that in with my sugar and eggs. And again, I'm going to turn my mixer on, now about medium, and blend the oil, the sugar, and the eggs together. And it's going to look like this. Next, I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And the same thing, I'm just going to make sure that I've incorporated it and I've mixed it well. At this time, it's starting to get very thick, as you can see, very thick and creamy. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to start with our flour. Now I've used 3 cups and I sifted all 3 cups. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in. And I'm going to blend this on medium. I don't want to go too high because I don't want to be showered with flour. I'm going to start adding a little bit more of the flour to the mixture, as you can see. I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt, table salt. I'm going to blend a little more of my flour in. I'm going to raise my speed just a little bit because it's getting thicker, as you can see. Now I'm going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm going to add again a little bit more flour, not too much. Be patient with it, it's going to be thick. Raise your speed on your mixer because it's going to become almost dough-like. And then I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And now I'm going to put a little bit more flour in. I'm going to raise my speed because it's getting thick. I'm going to use the rest of my flour up and mix this together. It's going to look like that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. And the last ingredient that I'm going to put in is my fresh zucchini that I made slivers and used my processor for it. Now what should happen is the moisture in the zucchini will help thin out this batter for me. So I'm actually going to make sure and squeeze the zucchini with my hand a little bit to get a lot of that natural juices and water from it. And I'm going to put that all in there. And then I'm going to blend it. I'm going to raise my speed up a little bit. I want to blend this all together. And the batter is going to be thick, so don't worry. It's going to come out beautiful. Just make sure you get all the sides of your bowl mixed well, all the ingredients on the sides where it tends to stick. Again, you can use do this by hand, but I prefer to use the hand mixer. I think it makes it easier. So blend it well. And then take your spatula, clean the sides of the bowl, and just fold the mixture together to see that it's well mixed, and it's going to look like this. Again, it is going to be a heavy batter. I went ahead and I took my large loaf pan and I sprayed it with an oil spray. I'm going to put that in the pan. You can see how pretty the colors are, the smell of the cinnamon. This really comes out to be a beautiful sweet zucchini bread. You can put butter on it. You can eat it plain. Some people use it for sandwiches. When you do get it into your pan, make sure though that it is level. You don't want any peaks in your batter, so make sure that you've smoothed out from one end to the other of your loaf pan. Now if you don't have the large loaf pan like I do, you can actually use 2 large loaf pans and make 2 loaves instead of 1. I'm going to bake it in the oven for 350 degrees, and it's going to take anywhere from an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. So watch your timing so that if your ovens are set up a little bit different than mine, use a toothpick or a cake tester to make sure that when you pull it out, it's dry and that it's well baked. I went ahead and I baked one ahead of time, and this is what it will look like. A beautiful loaf of sweet zucchini bread. It's moist, it's great tasting, it has a wonderful cinnamon smell to it. I think you're going to enjoy this, and if you do, please subscribe to my channel.